Well, our next guest says today's court proceedings should not be confused with an actual trial. He calls it theatre of the absurd. Tom Andrews is the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Myanmar. The former US Congressman is joining us from Virginia. Good to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Linda. Good to be with you.
So Aung San Suu Kyi was sentenced to 4 years. It was reduced to 2 years, but she still faces almost a dozen other charges. You say today's proceedings should not be confused with an actual trial. Just how absurd is all of this?
Well, it is completely absurd. I mean, for example, it is a crime in Myanmar to say anything critical of the military junta, because according to them and their penal code, that by definition upsets public tranquility. And therefore, you are a criminal and you should be arrested. There are literally thousands and thousands of people who have been arrested for basic crimes such as exercising their basic human rights, journalists for doing their job, healthcare workers for doing their jobs. So this is an extraordinary miscarriage of justice that is widespread across the country, not only incarcerating thousands of people who are charged with these so-called crimes, but also if they can't find the people who they are charging, they are now locking up their relatives, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons. So even people who they admit are not guilty of any crime or even charged with a crime are in prison right now, being held hostage by this illegal regime.
And it's not just people being arrested. We are seeing protesters lose their lives. Just even on the weekend, we saw at least 5 killed when a military car plowed into protesters. Certainly, it's pretty dangerous right now for anyone to speak out against the regime.
No, it's extremely dangerous, which gives you an indication of just how courageous these people are and just how committed they are to doing everything that they can to save their country from this illegal junta. It is remarkable. The protests that have been going on since just about the moment that this nightmare began with the coup in February continues on throughout the country, and there's every indication that people widespread from every walk of life all over the country will continue to oppose this regime.
So, Tom, what sort of international pressure is needed right now, and how crucial is it to see some sort of unity, especially when you have countries like China, Myanmar's powerful neighbour, failing to denounce it?
Well, it's important, first of all. Instability is going to impact the entire world, but no group of nations more than the neighbors of Myanmar. So it's important for everyone to be joining ranks, if you will, to deal with this crisis for lots and lots of reasons. But the fact is that those countries who are willing to take steps like impose economic sanctions or stop weapons from going into Myanmar can do so in a much more focused, strategic, and coordinated way. Right now, there are a number of sanctions, for example, being imposed by a number of countries, but they're not focused. They don't add up, and they don't target the most serious revenue streams from the junta, namely oil and gas. So the United States, UK, the European Union, Canada, other nations of the world who are taking steps and who are speaking out against this travesty can and should be taking coordinated action together to stand up to this monstrous development in Myanmar.
And you talk about some of the sort of sanctions that you would like to see. How soon do you think we'll see that happening? Will these countries come together, and how soon could those sanctions be implemented?
Well, it's a very good question, and the frank answer is I don't know. I'm not counting that it's going to happen immediately. I wish it would. But nations need to recognize that if this kind of coordinated action is not taken, then the kind of travesties that we're seeing unfold in Myanmar today, including the loss of life of innocent protesters, that is just going to continue to get worse. It's just going to continue to escalate. And that's going to be a travesty not only for the people of Myanmar, but for the entire world. And those of us who say that we believe in human rights and justice.
Right, UN Special Rapporteur Tom Andrews, good to have you with us on the program. We appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.
Well, still to come tonight, at least 22 people are dead after a volcano erupts in Indonesia. I'm going to speak to someone on the front lines of that rescue effort. And then freedom for more foreign hostages who were kidnapped in Haiti. But the majority of their missionary group are apparently still in the hands of a powerful gang.